What's up, everybody? I'm Walter Benaziak.
I'm Heather Roos.
And I'm Anna Wade.
And this is Top 5. Last week, we took a look at the best of one of the most requested actors we've ever covered on this show.
And as tradition goes, this week we take a deep dive into his worst.
Michael Keaton is absolutely an icon, an American treasure. He's played Batman, Beetlejuice, the Vulture, that guy from Mr. Mom. The list goes on.
But as with any actor who's been around for as long as Keaton, some films and performances just miss the mark.
But which of these performances are the worst? Well, in Keaton's case, least best? Let's find out.
These are the top 5 worst Michael Keaton performances.
Number 5. Jack Frost in Jack Frost.
Hey, wait a minute. I didn't have this on the list. I love this movie.
Jack Frost is on the list, Walter. It's terrible.
You only like it because you're too sentimental.
That's not true.
Oh, yeah? Hey, Walter, remember Awesome Comics?
Yeah, those are great times, huh?
Remember Orbit Report?
You guys were so great on that show.
Remember the beginning of this episode?
When I said, "What's up, everybody?" and then we all said our names. Where does the time go? Oh my God.
Jack Frost is the leader of his own upcoming band, has a beautiful wife, a loving son, and good friends. Achieving his lifelong dream of landing a record deal finally seems in reach, but it comes at the cost of spending time with his family. Before Jack can return home for Christmas, he dies in a tragic car accident. A year later, his son Charlie builds a snowman out of his father's old clothes and plays the harmonica he gave him before he died. Through Christmas magic, Jack's soul is brought back in the form of the snowman Charlie just built. Jack and Charlie now have a second chance to finally spend much-needed time together. Where do I start with this movie? It's creepy, and this is Keaton during that point in the 90s when he was almost a parody of himself. Everyone knew his shtick by 1998, and nothing was unique about most of the characters he was playing around this time. He's still charming and mostly likable as always, but he needed a fresh challenge. Jack Frost wasn't it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Dad, I said no.
Oh, I thought you said hose.
But Dad, I wanna...
Butt Dad? Did you just call me Butt Dad?
While he does have a few decent scenes with his son and the music is debatably tolerable, the concept of Jack Frost is what betrays Keaton. The snowman stuff is too ridiculous and poorly done to be effective in the way the filmmakers wanted it to be.
No. I am the Wizard of Blizzard. You the man.
No, you the man.
Nope, I'm the snowman.
Even at the end, when his body manifests himself again, and we see Keaton in the flesh, it's just weird. King Robert from Game of Thrones plays his best friend too. Man, that guy's friends die a lot. In any case, Jack Frost is too schmaltzy for its own good, with an inconsistent tone that fails to utilize its immensely talented lead the correct way.
Well, I still like it.
Good for you, Walter. Good for you. Number 4. Raymond Sellers in RoboCop.
I'm sure we'd all just rather forget this movie ever existed, but it existed, and Michael Keaton was in it.
In the near future, robotics technology has advanced to the point of military use overseas. However, the creators of this technology, Omnicorp, and their leader, Raymond Sellers, are trying to bring the robots home, as in use them for law enforcement in the United States. This is heavily fought by Congress until a police officer named Alex Murphy is critically injured in an attempt on his life. With the permission of his wife, Omnicorp makes him a cyborg with the intent of using him in the field. The results don't go as planned when Alex shows that his human side is still intact and his emotions continue to play a big role in his job as the first human/robot cop. Keaton is largely wasted as the film's villain. We've seen him play some really complex bad guys in the past, but Sellers doesn't have much to him. His motivations aren't anything we haven't seen a million times before in these types of characters. He's a greedy businessman who wants to make more money by selling his robots to police departments all over the country. Nothing and no one will get in his way, blah 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 blah. He's mostly reserved in this role, with only a few Keatonisms to brighten up a dreary, boring remake that seemed to miss the point of the original.
Just get him to do that. Him to do that.
Make him more, tactical. Make him look, let's go with black.
There are some big names in this cast. In addition to Keaton, Samuel L. Jackson and Gary Oldman have sizable roles. Also, Jackie Earle Haley and Jay Baruchel make appearances. Joel Kinnaman, playing the titular character, didn't have much to work with. Looked like he could have used some backup.
This is Katana. She's got my back. I would advise not getting killed by her. Her sword traps the souls of its victims.
Number 3. Doug Kinney and his clones in Multiplicity. Now, we have our own experiences with duplicates on this show, but 4 Michael Keaton sounds great, right? A Los Angeles construction worker named Doug Kinney has a tough time juggling his demanding job with family life. While on a job site, a scientist offers to clone Doug to make his life easier. Doug goes through with the procedure and a clone is created. The clone handles work while Doug spends more time with his family. A little too much time. Doug quickly feels overwhelmed by his new house husband responsibilities and creates another clone. This clone takes care of the household duties while Doug looks to try and relax, but the original clone eventually clones himself and a third damaged clone is made. With 4 Doug Kinneys out in the world, the original must balance them and his family while keeping the secret from his wife. Maybe that sounds a little confusing, but as a comedy, the movie definitely embraces the absurdity of its premise. Harold Ramis directed this, and there's actually a lot I like about the film and Keaton's performances. It's not easy to create 4 distinct characters all bouncing off each other in different ways. As the film goes on, each clone develops his own persona separate of Doug. 2 becomes the macho one, 3 becomes the effeminate one, and 4... well, 4...
I like pizza. I like it.
I started out kind of hating this movie, and Keaton seemed to be on autopilot, but as we progress through the story, there are some legitimately funny bits.
Look at me.
Okay.
How do I look? Wow, that's a lot of ribs. What is that, like a slab or something?
Brush in that general region, but I didn't brush you.
I mumbled out of there, Doc. I
brushed you.
Unfortunately, it's not quite enough to keep these performances off the list. A lot of the interactions are clunky, and the effects stick out as very dated. While his clones are humorous, they only rely on one personality trait. Toward the beginning of the movie, the first clone thinks he is Doug when he first wakes up. This still could have been a comedy if we explored that angle a little more. It would have been more interesting and less reliant on gags. While these performances are definitely on the worst list, I would recommend checking out the movie. It's a funny comedy with more Keaton than you can handle.
Ted.
We're gonna destroy Ted.
We
must bring Ted down.
Yes,
we must crush Ted.
Yes.
I want to get Ted.
Talk to me.
Rita.
Talk to me. And I will break his little neck. Now chest me. Come on. Oh, yeah.
Number 2. Johnny Dangerously in Johnny Dangerously. Did you guys know 30s gangsters wore eyeliner?
No.
Yeah, me neither. Johnny Kelly is a good, upstanding kid, but when his mother gets sick and needs money for an operation, Johnny decides to help out a local crime boss to come up with the cash. He takes on the name Johnny Dangerously, and it sticks with him into adulthood. Now, Johnny lives 2 lives, one looking after his mother and brother, and the other as an infamous criminal. When Johnny's brother Tommy becomes DA, he starts cracking down on crime, which means the mysterious Johnny Dangerously is on the top of his list to take down. Johnny has to find a way to protect his brother from other criminals while not letting Tommy know that his big brother is more than just a nice guy. This is one of those parody movies from the 80s that was hit or miss. The director of Johnny Dangerously, Amy Heckerling, was also at the helm for hits like Fast Times at Ridgemont High and Clueless. Keaton was a younger man when this came out in 1984, and I just don't think he had his trademark persona 100% down yet.
We should see you breaking your mother's heart, Tom. Why, Tommy? Why? My name's Dangerously. Johnny Dangerously.
The movie is weird, and the jokes don't work well nowadays in my opinion, but for all the wacky stuff happening throughout this film, I thought Keaton would have been more off-the-wall nuts. His delivery is flat compared to what would come later, and the movie as a whole was a bit of a slog to get through. Definitely one of Keaton's subpar performances.
And the number 1 worst Michael Keaton performance is Monarch in Need for Speed. Have you guys ever played the Need for Speed games? Well, the movie is pretty bad. After street racer Toby Marshall is framed by another driver for unintentionally killing his friend, he spends 2 years in jail. When he's released, the only way to prove his innocence and get back at the other driver is to beat him in a high-stakes underground race called the De Leon. To get to the De Leon, Toby has to make it through bounty hunters and cops looking to stop or kill him. Keaton's character, Monarch, is some sort of mysterious underground radio personality who runs the De Leon and announces it to people streaming it live. I'm not sure what he was going for with this, but it's not good.
Daryl, it's my show. Shut up! Listen to me!
Michael Keaton is an inherently cool guy. He just is. He's one of those actors that people like the personality of no matter what role he's in. In Need for Speed, I don't know if he was just trying too hard or the direction was to blame, but the Monarch character gets worse the more times he shows up.
The thing you gotta understand is, racing is an art, dude. That's high art. I have no idea where this is going. I just know I like it. I like it a lot. Losers, y'all can walk home.
We all know most of these are nitpicks. Michael Keaton is one of the most iconic Hollywood actors who is still going strong to this day. I think we can all appreciate the talent he's brought to any film he's been in, good or bad.
If you missed it last week, over on my personal channel, I have a discussion about something I've been thinking about for years. We all know Keaton was a great Batman, but would his natural personality have been a better fit for the Joker? Join me over at youtube.com/awesomewalter and let's get this conversation started.
We want to hear what you guys think. What's your least favorite Michael Keaton performance?
What do you want to see us cover next on the show? Leave a comment and let us know.
To keep in touch, you could like my Facebook page or follow along on Twitter.
And you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or subscribe to my animated movie review series right here on YouTube.
And you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, or Twitch, where I stream on Wednesday nights.
We'll catch you back here next week with a brand new adventure here on Top 5.